organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Thanks for tuning into your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television news, sports, and weather source from the Daily Iowan. I'm John Deckott here in the Daily Iowan newsroom to give you an update about what's been going on around Iowa City. 2 Iowa City residents narrowly escaped with their lives after their apartment catches fire. On Wednesday, the Iowa City Fire Department received a report of a building fire on the southeast side of town. Now, when firefighters arrived, they discovered 2 people trapped in their second-story apartment. Firefighters quickly placed a ladder under the window, and the residents were able to escape. The fire caused an estimated $10,000 in damages, and officials are still trying to determine the cause. And the ambulance department will be getting an upgrade with an addition to its ambulance housing facility. The addition will hold the city's 4th ambulance, which currently sits outside 24/7, meaning that in the winter it has to be scraped off and warmed up, causing a delay in response time. The addition will cost $179,000 and is slated to be completed in late November. Over the last 5 years, the department says it has seen a 19% increase in ambulance calls and expects that increase to continue this year. And at the next City Council meeting, councilors will discuss changing the way that they handle immigration issues. The Iowa City Human Rights Commission will present a 9-point plan that includes improving access to city services for immigrants and increasing outreach efforts from the police department. Now, earlier this year, the council put on hold plans to make the city a sanctuary city, which would mean that employers would be banned from asking about an applicant's legal status. The council will discuss the plan at their September 19th meeting. And Iowa hospices are getting ready for the big Iowa State game by gearing up a little competition of their own. Starting Friday, Iowa hospices will host a food drive statewide where people can drop off items in support of their favorite team. Now, this is the 3rd year of the one-day event, and last year they raised over 17,000 food items in just one day, with supporters of the Hawkeyes, of course, coming out on top. All proceeds will be donated to the food bank, and if you would like to donate items, you can visit Hy-Vee. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about Johnson County's wind farm plans, plus be sure to check out the Daily Iowan special edition commemorating the 10th anniversary of September 11th. And before we go, here's a quick look at your local weather forecast. Tomorrow should be about the same as today, high of 76 degrees with partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 55. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, there is about a 20% chance of rain on Saturday, but after that, temps will be climbing. Looking at highs of 80 and 84 on Sunday and Monday before we cool off again to the low 70s for the rest of the week. And now as we get geared up for the Super Bowl of Iowa, we have everything you need to know about the big game in our weekly breakdown we like to call Daily Iowan Pregame.
We're here at Kinnick Stadium today, but for the first time, the Hawks are leaving home this weekend. They're heading down to Ames for the Hawkeye Challenge. Good evening, I'm Jake Abrams.
And I'm Chelsea Byrne. Kirk Ferentz and co saw sunshine on a very rainy day in Iowa City last weekend, but this weekend they're set to hit the road to face Iowa State and Ames. Let's start by bringing in the managing editor of the Iowa State Daily, Jeremiah Davis. Now, Jeremiah, Steel Giants ran 20 times for 80 yards last week. Can you kind of talk briefly about him and what we should expect to see from him this weekend?
Well, he obviously didn't have the greatest debut ever, but I think he performed in crunch time, which is, a lot of Iowa State fans were very happy to see that he was maybe a little bit nervous. He was quoted as saying that he had maybe a little bit too many nerves at the beginning of the game, and when it got into the time of the game where he needed to perform, he did. So I think if he can calm down and get rid of those nerves early in the Iowa game, I think he might be able to play well.
Now, last week the Cyclones pulled it out at the very end of the game, while the Hawks blew out Tennessee Tech. How well do you think these two teams overall match up?
Iowa plays a traditional style on both sides of the football. I mean, you know as well as I do that they have their scheme and they run it, and whereas Iowa State has they run the up tempo or the jet tempo as they like to call it for their offense, and their defense is in more of a nickel formation more often than not. And so I think as far as they don't have a whole lot in common style wise, but I think Iowa has some favorable matchups when it comes to overall talent.
Now, Jeremiah, how genuinely excited is Ames for this game this weekend?
I'll be honest with you. A lot of the usual excitement that surrounds this week and this game has been hampered by the Big 12 realignment talk. The fact that there might not be a conference where Iowa State will be in next year kind of has fans worried instead of focusing on the game. But there is still obviously that excitement.
All right, I'm going 24-17. Iowa wins this one. Who do you think is going to walk away with bragging rights, and what's the final score going to be?
I think it's going to be a close game because I think that Steele Jans plays like he did in the last quarter and not like he did in the first three quarters. So but I do think Iowa's going to win. I think it's going to be 31-27.
All right, thanks, Jeremiah. That was Jeremiah Davis, managing sports editor of the Iowa State Daily.
Now that we've heard a little bit from Iowa State's side of things, let's take a closer look at what the Hawkeyes are thinking about their first road trip of the season. Head coach Kirk Ferentz met with the media on Tuesday to discuss the Cyclones team and their chance for success this weekend.
We've got a lot of work ahead. We got a young football team right now that hasn't gone on the road. A lot of guys that haven't gone on the road and had to encounter something like this. So it's going to be a big week for us. We got a lot of improvement to do, knowing what waits for us on Saturday, and that's we'll get back to that work this afternoon.
Ferentz made a point on Tuesday that just because Iowa has won the last three matchups against ISU, it doesn't give them more confidence going in. This is a brand new team and a brand new year.
You know, we're going over there expecting a real tough game, and you know we know we got a lot of work to do right now too. So it's going to be a real test for us.
Now, Iowa holds a 39-19 advantage over the Cyclones, and between 1983 and 1997, the Hawks won 15 straight games. When the Hawkeyes travel to Ames, they hold a 16-7 advantage. Iowa has allowed Iowa State just one touchdown in the last 18 periods, dating back to the game in 2007.
The Hawks hold an all-time record of 58-37 against the 10 current Big 12 teams. Last season, Iowa scored touchdowns on its first 3 offensive possessions, which led them to a 35-7 victory in Kinnick Stadium.
We saw our first real look at this Hawkeye team last Saturday in their win over Tennessee Tech, and after week 1, my player of the game is Marvin McNutt. McNutt had an 88-yard and 19-yard touchdown and led Iowa receivers with 140 yards. McNutt now ranks 3rd in career touchdown receptions, only 3 shy of the school record.
My player from week 1 is going to be Jordan Bernstein. Bernstein proved himself a versatile player to Ferentz and the coaching staff, so much so that he can move anywhere from safety to corner to kickoff return. He showed a lot of spark in his playing time this past weekend and could help the Hawkeyes out a lot in the upcoming season. Now, one thing's for sure, if you wear a Hawkeye uniform, you understand how big this weekend's game is to this program and to the state as a whole. Here's what some of the Iowa players had to say this matchup means to them.
A lot of people will be at this game, and a lot of people take a lot of interest in it. And we know it's a hostile environment, and it's our first road trip, so I think we have to do a really good job of preparing this week.
You can play in a parking lot, and there'll still be a lot of people out there, yelling and screaming.
Walking out to the field, the fans definitely have more things negative to say to you than obviously at Kinnick. And so, when you realize that, you realize, the game's on the line and you got to bring it.
There's a lot of positives after week 1, but also a lot that this team needs to work on. Let's take a look at our daily Iowa pregame keys to the game. Well, the Hawks need to hold on to the ball. They lost the ball 4 times last week against the Golden Eagles, and if they keep doing that, they will not win these next couple of games.
I agree, Jake. I think ball security is going to be the main focus for the Hawkeyes this weekend, but I also think it's going to be important for this young team to stay calm. As we heard earlier, it's not easy coming into a hostile environment like Iowa State, and for a lot of these Hawkeye players, this will be their first dose of it. As long as the senior leaders can keep them focused on the task at hand, though, I think they'll be just fine.
Now, Chelsea, we've talked about what happened last week, what's coming up this week, but we wanted to know what happens before the games.
Yep, so we hit the streets, met the locals, and took a look at just what it means to be an Iowa fan. Here's a little peek.
So Chad Greenway's colors now purple.
Exactly. I like that.
There you go. I'm both.
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh, look at this.
Yep.
So that's chicken?
That's chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
Yeah, right here's the pork burgers. And then it's pork bratwurst that we have there.
How long does this all take to set up?
Oh, We started cooking the chicken about 7:30 this morning. As you can see, it's done.
Only Hawk fans.
I got one. Talk with an accent. Hey y'all, how you doing?
They got jalapeno, mozzarella cheese in them.
They're mild.
All right, let's try it. Very good. Very good.
Go Hawks!
I think I could pull those off.
Never.
What?
Well, Jake, I think you could have pulled off the overall.
Well, I think you're the only person on the earth who thinks I can pull those off. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight.
Thanks for tuning in to Daily Iowan TV's pregame show. Be sure to tune in on Sunday night to catch a recap of the Cyhawk game.
For Chelsea Byrne, I'm Jake Abrams. Have a great night.